Okay, this is going to be an extremely important update, explosive information. It's very explosive, and I want you to be alert about this and be aware of this, because what you need to see is the unthinkable, the impossible, the unimaginable. Okay, the impossible you'd never imagine in the whole world. Look, we've just gone through the COVID event, right? And the vaccinations. I want you to consider something. Jeremy Griffiths is the biggest biologist in the whole world, with the top scientists all over the world. Now, he reported 3 months ago that we'd be on the point of return and the vaccinations, nothing's working with what's going on. What's he talking about? What is he talking about? On the front page of the Australian newspaper, Weekend Paper, 2 months ago, mainstream media at the highest level with millions of newspapers sold. Also in the mainstream media news, a short segment about this report. The COVID cover-up. Why was scientists silenced? Australia has more adverse effects from the vaccinations than what they had from COVID. And it's a large continent, 26 million people. Now, why is no one in the world talking about this? It's on the front page of the paper on mainstream media. Why is nobody in the world talking about this? Stop and ask yourself that question, because that's what you have to observe. I have thousands of followers here. I listen to people. I'm their voice. But I also have to tell you something. Nobody voiced this to me. Out of thousands of people in Australia, not one person voiced this to me. I find that highly astonishing. And you should too. Ask yourself what's going on in people's minds when there are millions of newspapers sold on the front page with a magazine lift out this thick about Fauci on the front page and the operation that's really going on here, what's really genuinely happening here, right? The Australian government is more powerful than you think. They've gone into one of the most explosive things that I brought information about here a few years ago when I was taken down from Facebook and YouTube. They told me I was giving misinformation, and you can read the documents about this. It's been on mainstream media. It's in this report, right? And I disclosed this. When they brought out a vaccination, Australia had a vaccination company that was leading from COVID SARS-1. So they had the most research and the most advanced with vaccinations from COVID SARS-1. And because it's so similar, they came out with a vaccination first. They developed the first vaccination. This vaccination comes with 7 peer reports. 7 scientific peer reports. These scientific peer reports are the same scientific peer reports used for the Pfizer vaccination. The same 7 peer reports are the same peer reports and the same people that gave the same report for the Pfizer vaccination. Only 3 reports approved it and passed it, but only just. When you read the other 7 peer reports that they gave to the first vaccination without mRNA technology, they were really, really profounding, and all 7 agreed that this was the best vaccination. So why didn't they use it? Question number 1, why didn't they use it? Why did they cancel that and then deployed mRNA technology? Where the adverse effects are worse than COVID-19 in Australia. They're investigating all this. They know what the problem is and who pulled the strings, starting with Fauci and the whole medical board, right, through Peter Daszak and WHO. They know that. They know exactly the people that deployed all this behind this. They've got a massive list in a magazine, and the investigation goes far deeper than this. They're not messing around. But the question is, why is no one from Australia, family, loved ones and friends, or anybody even talking to the people that are following me and talking to anyone? Is there something wrong with people's minds? I'm asking a serious question. is there some kind of syndrome going on in people's minds? Because I bring a lot of information about how this is working and what's really going on that people can't stand, can't fathom, cannot face, can't even deal with in the mindset they live in. I want to explain something to you. Okay? I made a very powerful video before, prophetic warning. And this one, you need to pay attention to. I had people on the streets everywhere. I had freedom fighters, whatever you want to call them, doesn't matter. I had people come from all corners of the earth with one simple thing. Moral values. They don't like modern technology. They can't stand gadgets. They can't stand phones. They can't stand the technology world. Right? So they're in the corner somewhere because everybody else loves it. They can't. They have a glitch inside their system. Right? They're having a breakdown because they don't like the voices in their mind that tells them to do these things and follow these fields and follow these scientists and follow all this fast track into nowhere. So consider something. In a placebo effect medication, we discovered these people that are most instinctive, that follows their instincts, they can create miracles, repair their genes, and create things that repairs their body cells with placebo medication. Those that are programmed like robots to think with a high IQ, right, they can't. So placebo effect medication, these people that have faith in their biological genes to use their natural organic motor skills with loyalty, honor, respect, moderation, aspiration, encouragement, they have the most powerful miracles in hospital. They're people that die and come back and live to tell about it. They're people who create all the miracles in hospital. They're the people with the best DNA in the world and can repair their genes and immune system, and they know that every other tool is used in a different strategy and they don't like it. In 1960, we had 2% mental disorders. In 1996, we had 36% mental disorders and gene defects, both of them. By 2019, it was at 54%, accelerating 7 times faster, confirmed 3 months ago. Now, we were told in 1999 we're stripped from our sixth sense and our biological genes to think with our natural organic motor skills. That's the primary problem for climate. We consume too much and think too much. We can see how it's escalating. We can see what the adverse effects are all over the world. No one wants to pay attention because they're in the same mindset, avoiding it as well. They can't think straight. No one can think straight in the whole world. We know that for a fact. It's declared 93% beyond the point of return because they can't think straight. They're in brain lock denial. They're completely stripped from their sixth sense. We're watching this with the zombie virus, body snatchers, Havana syndrome all over the world. Studies done about this. It's the same adverse effect. The identical thing. Different reports, different conclusion, but the same thing. People have amnesia. They got vertigo, right? And concussion. Report on documents. You were warned about this in 1999. You didn't believe it then. You said, oh, no, not me, I'm awake. And you still say the same thing today. Like a robot, to fact check, Google yourself in your own truth on 5 cents and negative fields. And that's what you're attached to with voices in your mind that tells you to do that. It's unnatural to think. You're supposed to think outside the mind with the natural organic motor skills. It's unnatural to think. Now you think like a robot with a high IQ. It's unnatural to think. Because when you think critically, you're asking an outside influence with 2 voices that tells you to do it, and don't do it. But they're only personality, and so are you when you use that mindset because it's 5 cents and negative fields. It's only personality. It's not your moral instincts to think instinctively and think outside the mind with these 8 tools of righteousness, and we're not using them. We conquer and divide every day with our family, lovers and friends. We conquer and divide more and more non-stop since 1960. If you go back and compare yourself with the person in 1960, you can't even compare yourself. You're that judgmental and that egotistical, you can't even talk to neighbours, loved ones, or in the streets anymore. Right? You don't. You sit in front of a social media platform and that's your best friend, a screen. And you've been polarised into this entire state. They told you that in 1999, but you know what? The primary problem with climate that you can't think straight and you consume too much, you didn't care. Nor did the media, nor did the governments. So they pushed it 7 times faster. And the results was, by 2019, it was 5 times worse. We consumed 5 times more, 5 times more mental disorders, 5 times more defects. Cancer gone up 18 times. Blood clots and myocarditis gone up 18 times. Only at 2% in 1960. 54% by 2019 to affect the genes in every human being on earth, and we can see it in the body cells. No one's waking up, are they? They can't think straight, but no one's waking up, but are they? No one can use their natural motor skills to think outside the mind. They can only think with the mind. So they moved their religions in 1975, right? They told you to think with your heart. And we discovered that 40 cells is what makes you think with your heart. Inside your heart with your biological genes to feel things, your natural organic motor skills. Your gut feeling survival mode, that activates all the body cells, right? With a shiver in your spine, that's Jacob's ladder, right? It's called the Neuralink, the tree of life. That fires up the 7 chakras. And the 7 chakras makes your body feel things from the outside influence. That's 10 times more powerful. You perceive a fixed term more powerful in your reality, but you don't have faith in your own biological genes. You use it. You can't use it. You might talk about it with a high IQ, but you don't know how to use it organically and instinctively. You can only use mental behavior. And you think mentally all the time, and you suffer with voice in your mind from stress, fear, anxiety, confusion, frustration, delusion, paranoia, and you live in brain not denial about it, like you're two-faced, right? So you're fighting with yourself. Why? Yin and yang is a 6 and a 9. The 6 is 2 voices in your mind from the tree of knowledge that you think with all the time. Artificial intelligence. With an outside influence, an alien invasion inside your mind, the voices of the mind, ultimately designed from extinction, declared by Jim McGoose. Are you awake to this? No one is. Because they live in brain locked denial beyond the point of return. And that's dramatic, right? But it's also reality. It's also reality, right? So in 1960, we were human beings. The last human being was born in 1960, we were human beings. You're in post-human states and millennium age, you're not human. You came along with New School. Back to front, reverse psychology, inverted behavior. You disrespect the other's wisdom and knowledge and abolish all the wisdom you got. You know why? Because your mind plays tricks and games and you always become your own worst enemy, and that's what you think with 95 to 99% of the time, and normalise that, and you're talking to an outside influence of reality. No matter who you're talking to, yourself or not, you're talking to an outside influence of reality because you convey feelings and thoughts in your biological genes, goes into DNA and technology and convey feelings to thoughts, and then you explain your own self. Because you're selfish, so you have a God for yourself, and you are your own God, and the voice is your God, and they design you into that. That's reported in 1999. They designed you into that on a marketing strategy to think all the time, and you can only use 7 to 9% of your brain with a high IQ that only makes it good at what you do. Think about that. When you think outside the mind, you can use 100% of your mind, 10 times more intelligent. With an outside influence reality. The light bulb idea, the picture that tells you 1,000 words, visions and dreams, you can use that 24/7. But now you rely on the documents and thinking critically, right? And I can deceive you in the documents the most, can't I? By using mental literal behavior. And you're literal today, you're political, you're religious, and it's the same tools. It's socialism, right? It's capitalism, it's communism, it's selfish, because it's egotism. And you're brought up with egotism. With a personality, and you create your own personality from characters, right, from the Hollywood spin and the American dreamers. All by design and social media platform and televisions and movies. You think you're human? You have no idea. You have no idea. So they removed religion in 1975 and deemed your humans to be dangerous and said it's an old, deadly, savage, dangerous tool. And then they double up the programming so you can think like a robot to fact check Google yourself, and you all came here in the 1980 thinking that and abolished the greatest wisdom in the world. But not understanding, your mind plays tricks and games on you because you've got voice in your mind and you're possessed by the devil, record on documents, warned in Revelation, warned out for our human history. What did the Bible always teach you? I'll tell you how screwed up the whole world is. The Bible tells you to be a father, and the father's always the Lord with those tools, with our moral values in the right place, 8 tools of righteousness, to live by the one you equally, not to walk in front of me or behind me, equally, to love one another burdens like you do in a family environment. What's the Sabbath day about? Family, lovers and friends, feast and wine. Family values, right? And everyone uses it political in the religious field, right? But didn't Jesus say, you're all wrong? And he went out in the paddocks, not in the church, and he said, the kingdom's your church. Life is your church. You're connected to life, right? And everything in life that we're disconnected from today. So they know this because they know that people living off the grid, the oldest and wisest civilization in the world, the oldest and wisest civilization in the world, who lives to be double as old as we do, have no gene defects, no mental disorders, no cancer, no black lives, no mechanical. They live by the vineyard willingly with those tools. They have elders. They don't have kings and pharaohs. They don't have politicians. They have elders. So they lead their flock with elders, right? And the same tools to love one another, burdens equally. And they live of the tree of life, and they consume 12 times less than what we do. And we consume the planet up 7 times faster. And we keep doing it non-stop, flat into nowhere but on extinction with those tools. They live by their natural organic motor skills, and when they talk to nature, their food products has 10 times more nutritional value with a relationship when they use those tools because they're connected in that such a way. It also bears 10 times more fruit with 10 times more nutritional value because they're bearing the right fruit with their moral values in the right place. The whole Bible is about morals, right? Jeremy Griffiths tells you that, the biggest biologist in the whole world today, who studied Plato and Euclid for 45 years, the greatest scholar in human history. And every scholar ever since only been footnotes of Plato. He's the greatest philosopher of all time, right? Until this moment. Then I came along and brought the cure of the human condition, humanity, from the voice in your mind, the first time in human history. So I know this better than any human being on earth, recorded on documents. They're moving it with world transformation movement with Jeremy Griffiths. And what does he say? You've got to stick your head outside the cave because you're stuck in the cave and it's a long, dark tunnel. That's what Plato describes. Win Up the Breathing program is another Nobel Prize to think outside the mind, to do the Win Up Breathing program, to think right outside the mind through cold showers and ice baths. Dr. Bruce Lipton, who states, and Celia started research, your placebo effect's 10 times more powerful than your reality, but you're not living in that reality. You don't even care. So you have a zombie virus now, like robots to fact check yourself. You were told that in the Matrix documentary, where the military told you, those that think instinctively with you in that program with an outside influence of reality that's 7 times more powerful. Bruce Lee could move 7 times faster than any human being on earth can think, because you learn to master his mind, so his mind mustn't be mastered by voice and mind for education. A child between 3 and 7 can move in a computer game and move 7 times faster than any adult can, pump with adrenaline to be alert like when in a moral state, creating the molecules that repairs his genes and immune system. Right? No confusion, frustration. None at all. So how come he can move 7 times faster than an adult can without being programmed and engineered? How come Bruce Lee went back to his primal state like a child did to discover that? How come Jesus taught us exactly the same tool biblically? How come he said you're all wrong, it's about family values and righteousness, right? And the Sabbath day is about family, loved ones and friends, feast and wine, sing and dance. It's a known fact. They've been living by it for 1,000 years. They're the last human beings born on earth that will be 150 years old and has no mental disorders, and we die from stress-related diseases. 300,000 people die every day, 93% die from stress-related diseases. Western civilization, 93% take drugs to numb themselves. Methamphetamines, ADHD medication. Methamphetamine's gone up 5,000 times in use since 1980. ADHD medication's gone up 36 times since 1994. Do you think people are coping? Do you think people are coping? Because I don't think a lot of people can cope. I think most people live in their bubble and comfort zone using the same tools in the mind they live in. Stress, fear, and anxiety, confusion, frustration, delusion, and paranoia. They sit on social media platform and create their own dopamines, and dopamines gets high in their own supply to give them confidence, but when they get up there, they can't function like a human being in real life. They're disconnected from it, from their sixth sense. That's what the primary problem for climate is, and we have the cure for this. Why is no one telling you both the problem and the cure? Because what you understand is they've removed calculators, right? They removed calculators. And a mathematical genius to think outside the mind with their natural organic molecules is to think with their sixth sense, with an outside influence, to look from the outside in, not to look from the inside out. You are always judging, and mentally, psychologically, and literally, and you're always analysing and being analysed. When you think outside the mind in the nine, the yin and yang, right, you don't have two voices in your mind from the tree of knowledge of all things good and evil that you argue with all the time. That tells you to do it and don't do it non-stop with a personality. When you think outside the mind, you think in the nine. With an outside influence reality that's far more powerful, where you can respond 7 times faster than you can think. And that's been completely stripped from you, in case you don't know. There's only a handful of masterminds in the world that can do this with a 27 times more powerful immune system than a vaccination and yours, recorded on documents all over the world. Your bacteria is collapsing all over the world, in every study done all over the world, right? Creating a zombie virus, body snatching, Havana syndrome, it's the same thing. Right? It's an outside influence reality from a parallel world, a different dimension that controls your mind. And it's in the skull, right? Because you've got voices in your mind, and what's it giving you? Dizzy spells all over the world, reported on mainstream media, vertigo, psychosis, amnesia, concussion. So you don't know yourself, and this is escalating all over the world and completely unexplainable. No one can explain this all over the world, whether it's vibrations, magnetic fields, or our mindset. But believe me, I know. I know if you think outside the mind, no weapon formed against you can prosper, and we have the evidence for that, and we're reporting that, but people can't understand this. We need to think outside the mind because we're going into massive extinction this way. Right? We're watching this all over the world. So since 1960, mental disorders and DNA defects went from 2% in 1960 all the way to 54%. Cancer didn't even exist 100 years ago. nor did blood clots myocarditis, because everyone died in peace and they were living to be a lot older than what you were. They lie to you every single day of your life. We know there's people in the indigenous people off the grid all over the world in 15 different locations that lives to be 130 to 160 years old. We even found someone 180 years old. We found someone else in one location where there's allegations of them being up to 250 years old. We found some of these people where their forefathers died only 150 years ago that was 500 years old. We know it's true. They've been covering it up from us. A Sasquatch is one of the same DNAs that we have. They live on nothing but the same thing as the Bible, right? And are vegetarian eaters and have the greatest food in the world, and they don't hurt any human beings, and they're coded inside our DNA, right? So we do not go through an evolution theory. We know there are 3 species here that they say we evolved from, so we know the evolution theories lie, and that's why they cover this up about giants and the Sasquatch. They're the most humble human beings on earth. I personally know people who have a relationship with them. The most profounding relationship with their sixth sense, where they feel love and compassion in ways they've never felt with a human. And they live to be 1,000 years old, and they have families. And one of them was taken to visit their whole family and their kids. And I'm not kidding you, right? I have personally been involved in this, no matter what you say, with the most intelligent people in the world that has a relationship with them. And also, the Minmin light, the divine light, comes in the back of Australia, and they're calling them watchers to watch over them, and they have a relationship with them too. So I know we're in the wrong mindset, and they're not. I know they live by the Wanyata equally, and Sasquatches, right, are the most instinctive human beings on earth, coded in their own DNA, known fact. So you've been deceived so dramatically that they've been twisting the fabric of truth for the last 60 years and social engineering and stripping from your sixth sense completely and programming you non-stop with information on massive propaganda through the social media platform, right through the CAI and through Rockefellers that design your education and strip from your sixth sense in 1921 and put in the fake documents, right, and design that with MR technology and graphene oxide in electronic magnetic device in methamphetamine and every single product you're on. It's a fact. It's an electronic magnetic device. It's a conductor to an outside influence of reality on reverse psychology with voices in your mind from an outside influence from another dimension, another parallel world that controls the mindset you live in. It's a known fact. We've got the evidence for this. That's why Jeremy Goose says the voices in the mind ultimately design from extinction, because we know when you think outside the mind with your natural organic motor skills to think instinctively, none of these things can affect you whatsoever. We know that for a fact. It's only a non-human, a synthetic human in post-human state who thinks too much in every single one of these vibrations that are suffering all these consequences all over Earth. Those that think outside the mind are not suffering any of these consequences. They're going into another dimension that's going to be perfect to live with the tree of life. While we hang on to the world that's going into massive extinction, and they know that. They saw it in the looking glass, time 1 and time 1 2. They report that in UFO disclosure. We're just learning about different dimensions of parallel worlds. We have been told from many people by the Book of Enoch and many other times and Book of Revelation, we are going to speak into 2 different dimensions. Now we have the evidence rock solid in our face. You see how much you're being twisted with lies? Because they took calculators of it, you can't think straight. Because your mathematical ability, you need to master your mind. It's a universal language to think outside the mind, not with the mind. Okay, not to analyze from inside out, but from outside in. Right? And you think from the inside out with voices in your mind because you're told to do that, and you can only use 7% of your mind. And we can use 100. And we create the biggest miracles on earth, and you don't even have faith in it because you're a robot. You listen to the same people that lie to you every single day, and you believe in everything in their system that's completely inverted. Your action speaks down words, your words don't mean shit. For some reason you think you do. Right? Never believe nothing you only have what you see, but trust what you feel. That's where great wisdom and knowledge come from. Always put in the shelf, patience and virtue. Always sit in the fence, never far left, never far right. Always observe things. Always be aware of things from a total different perspective. And understand why you put it on the shelf is because you'll come to learn the truth with experience, wisdom and knowledge. Nothing is the truth until you walk that experience. So no matter what you believe in your mind, what you believe is true, you don't know. You're not in the knowing until such time. But you abolish that great wisdom and knowledge all over the earth with your new school, a millennium age. You were told in the Bible the whole new school in millennium age would be the judgmental and the selfish and egotistical, and they all are. So is every American and every Westerner since 1921 on a 100-year document plan by the Rockefellers, executed by 221 when the darkness came over the planet and possessed everyone. Didn't it? Didn't it? Everyone's in a zombie virus. Everyone's like a robot. Everyone's had their mind taken. Everyone's had their soul taken and taken over their body with their psychological behaviour and their egotism all over the world. And they're beyond the point of return declared on documents. That's a known fact. It's a known fact. It's a known fact. That's what's been happening the last 60 years with methamphetamine in the biggest underground operation in the whole world, right in front of your face. And I made many documents about this and exposed all these things. And if you haven't watched it, then perhaps you should. About the biggest corruption happening in Australia right under your nose. On mainstream media and every platform that you don't pay attention to. Why is no one paying attention to these things on mainstream media all over the world? How come people are so polarised into this hypnotised state? They can't even see the biggest operations all over the world on mainstream media, the most spoken about subjects, buried after 3 days. By everyone's mind. Because they're possessed by the devil to keep going fast track into nowhere and keep entertaining themselves and keep going to this and keep doing that and keep entertaining and keep consuming and keep this and keep that and Do you know what you're doing? Because in the last 60 years, the biggest explosive events have taken place right under your nose. Everything in the Bible that talks about, you're in the post-human stage now. No longer human. You were told that in 1999. You think you're awake? We can see by the tools you use who's awake and who's not. It's not difficult. I've got thousands of people here that reject school, that hates the education system, that can't stand modern technology. Human beings, right, that understands their parents are not loving, compassionate creatures. No loyalty, honor, respect, moral rules. They're like robots. They're feeding into the system and feeding them to a dysfunction behavior they don't like. They're rejecting it. ADHD has always rejected this. They're the most intelligent people in the world that use their instincts. You're told they've got mental disorders? No, they haven't. I cure them every day. There's thousands of them here. The biggest, richest men in the world have got ADHD and a superpower. Why don't they tell you that? Because they don't want you to know. Bill Gates was never educated, couldn't even read and write, the most powerful will in the man. I know his tools. I go into all the specific details about the people that run this world were never educated like you. They're masterminds and know the tools that I do. But you don't, because you can only use 7% of your brain with a high IQ. That only makes you good at what you do. And it's a fact. They've designed you in reverse psychology deliberately. And if you can't wake up to that, you never will. You're no longer human. And most of you on this earth, trust me, you're not human. Because you don't care and you can't wake up and you can't even use your moral skills. Your natural organic motor skills, that's coded in the Bible, in our human history, that warned us, as Jeremy Griffiths says, this is the 6th time we've been stripped from the 6th sense in the 6th mass extinction. It happened in Babylon. It happened with the Pharaohs in Egypt, Persians, the Greeks in the Roman days. And it's happening all over the world today. And they found the cure for this, to think outside the mind, because the world gets possessed by the devil, record on documents. And that's exactly what's happening now. Revelation unfolding. And you're so deep into this that if you don't get out of this mindset right now, you don't have any time left. Trust me, I'm teaching you everything about what's happened in the last 60 years, and you keep thinking it's coming. It's already happened. You can't wake up from this.